Hello everybody, welcome back to season 4 of Better at Work. Super excited to be back with you. And guess what? This season we've got these new standalone listeners' questions episodes. What are we doing? We're still doing our takeaways. So Annette joins me. We have our takeaways from the guest, and last week we had, of course, the amazing Helen Tupper on. So you're going to get your takeaways. And what are the three or four things that any of us can do and take from Helen's learning or insights? Next, we've got your listeners' questions. That's where, like we've always done, we answer your questions in the best way we can possible. Everything from my boss is an asshole right through to I can't bear my career anymore. We try to help guide you through that. And new this season as well, we are going to have quickfire questions where Annette and I ask each other questions, because a lot of you have said you'd like to learn a little bit more about us and how we navigate different challenges over the last 20 or 30 years in our own careers. So that's it. That's our new listeners' questions episode. Super happy to have you here. Welcome to Better at Work. My God, everybody, we're back. We're back, Annette. Better at Work. Back for season 4. Can you believe it, Annette? We're like Jimmy Kimmel. We've returned.
The return of Better at Work.
The return of Better at Work. Oh, it's so good to be back, Annette. I've missed our weekly catch-ups to get prepared for our episodes, and I'm just so excited to be back. And I'm so excited for our listeners to hear our new season this year. It's going to be so. I'm really excited. Actually, I'm pumped.
We've got a really fantastic lineup of guests, Cathal. I am learning a lot. And
well, it's not
really
even just the guests in it, but what about us? We're going to, this is like a single
format.
episode. We'll tell them more about that in a second. But listen, everyone, we're so glad to be back. And thank you to everyone who sent us lovely messages. We've gotten so many messages over the last few days with people so excited that the season and the show is back. Annette, it kind of gave me goosebumps. I was like, what? I didn't think that many people would have cared.
And people were saying, Cathal, about you in the studio, how good you were looking. Lots of comments on the hair.
No, I got a lot of comments on the hair, a lot of comments on the looks. People thought I had a lot of makeup on as well. I said, no, I didn't. It was the lighting. That lighting in that new studio. And for anyone that isn't aware what we're talking about, we're now doing our podcast on video as well. So we have a new studio in London. My God, it's so nice in it. It's so nice.
It looked lovely.
Honestly, I think that anyone could go in there and look good. Seriously, the fact that I looked that good, I was like, is that me? I said to Harrison, I goes, are you sure that's me? But it's really nice. So if listeners, you're going to find out more about this. If you haven't listened already, our first episode with the amazing Helen Tupper was recorded in the studio. But I'm going to tell you a bit more about that in a few seconds. But first, Annette, we're back. It's been a while. What has been happening for you? What's been happening in life? I want our listeners to hear everything.
My big news, Cathal, is our 18-year-old son, Finn. Finny boy is off backpacking around Europe for 3 months. He is having an amazing time, living his best life, and I'm so proud for him, Cathal, and I also miss him dreadfully. I was okay at the airport. I waited and I kept it together until he'd gone through, and then I cried like a seal. So counting down till he gets back, it's a big hole not having him here.
Of course it is. So when is he back?
He's back 10th of November. Yeah,
okay,
and even the pussycats are missing him. I know they're crying for him. So they're all looking around the house for him. So yeah, no, but how about you, Cathal? What's your news? There's been lots happening.
It's been a really busy few months because, as I think I told told the listeners last time, we were moving house. So we've moved into our new house, which it's amazing. Love it, love it, love it. There's still a bit of work going on here, but that was a crazy period over the summer. Just you know what it's like moving house, and you can have removalists and everything, but it's still a lot of upset and work, and with 2 little ones. But we're really happy to be in. What else has been happening? We didn't really go anywhere over the summer that much. We went away for my friend Alison's 50th. It was brilliant in France. We went just away for a few days. But other than that, we were mostly back here in the UK. The weather was brilliant though. So even though there was a lot of upheaval, we made the most of the weather. We did lots of little activities. The kids, Paw Patrol shows, Pepper Pig, all of that. So we're the other end of it for you. We had a full on time with the little ones, but it was brilliant, Annette. And I've also been doing a little bit of different work. So it's been brilliant. I was in with a great company a few weeks ago called Gallagher's. They're a big construction company here in the UK, and got to spend a lot of time with Lindsay, their CEO, and just going through their culture and different things. Brilliant. I was so inspired in it. So loads of little things like that. I've got some more things like that coming up over the next few weeks. But it's brilliant. And
Lots
I
of
think the other
exciting
thing,
stuff.
lots of exciting. And then, of course, we were doing the
Yeah.
podcast, getting ready for this new season, right? So a lot of prep over the summer for that, because as I briefly mentioned at the start there, we were like, let's do video. And guess what, everyone? We've got Annette's nephew, Harrison, working with us now. And he is brilliant. And Annette, he's been pushing me, and he was like, right, let's do video. So we were like, let's do it. We're going to do video. So we've gone on to YouTube. So this will be on YouTube, as well as our main episode, which is with our guests. So we've taken this kind of new approach, right? We're going to have this full listeners' question episode with you and I. And then, of course, we'll have that guest interview episode as a separate standalone episode. And the first episode of the season is Helen Tupper. And Annette, it was great because interviewing her in the studio, and now we've kind of got that standalone episode where I really just sit down with the guest, we have the discussion, and then you and I have this separate chat like we're having now to go through the takeaways and really build on the listeners' questions. We got a lot of feedback in it. People wanted more of those listeners' questions answered. And actually what we, you know what's happened, right? A lot of people want to know a bit more about how we would answer questions that where maybe things are, share our experience, I should say. So someone said to me recently, what advice would you give a brand new manager? And the person said to me, God, could you share more of that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So that's the reasoning, everyone, behind creating this standalone episode.
And can I also add, Cathal, you having the conversation with Helen in person in the studio. Wow. Just being there together, I think that the spontaneity, the intimacy of you sitting there together, there's something more authentic and real, that it's not both of you talking to a screen, you're sitting there with each other. So the bounce off, I love it. I think it's much better. I don't know if you want me to say that, but anyway, that's what I think. We can see if we wave that in, but just that's the benefit of doing the conversation together.
Yeah, and look, I think the thing is that and being honest with our listeners, right, to produce the episodes previously, it took a lot of time because you and I would be on at the start of it. And look, you guys as listeners aren't silly. You know that like I would have recorded the episode with Helen a few weeks ago, then Annette and I would be trying to do the start and the close of it. And actually it's easier in a way to do it this way.
Faster.
We can get the episodes out faster. We've had people ask us to get episodes out quicker. That's part of it as well. Well, Annette, how lucky were we? Because we've also kicked off the season with one of our favourite guests, like someone we have admired. I think we've admired Helen and Sarah's work for probably 5 or 6 years.
I was over the moon. When we heard that Helen would come and chat with you and come onto the pod.
This is like, in our terms, Helen is a big name. So we were super excited. So we kicked off everyone so in case you don't know who Helen is, Helen Tupper, brilliant lady, her Squiggly Careers. I'm sure, unless you've been under a stone, you've probably heard of Squiggly Careers. And, the conversation, really struck a chord with so many of you. And I think it's really around this idea, Annette, that career ladders aren't straight anymore. They're full of twists and turns. And you and I mean, we know that. We've been
living examples.
Well, because we were on those kind
Squiggly
of ladders.
plus.
Yeah, Squiggly plus. We've got a bit of age on us with them. But and I think that's why we were so excited to get her on. But Annette, you love Helen too. Tell us a little bit about why. What do you think of Helen?
I'm a big fan of Helen and Sarah, Squiggly Careers and Amazing If, and all the amazing resources that they have, all of the thinking that they've done, how generous they are with sharing that content. I really can't wait for my copy of Learn Like a Lobster. I
The
love the
new
look of
book,
that.
yeah.
I love the look of that cover, and I love lobsters. I really do. And can we also mention that our lovely Teamy Harrison is going to be helping out Helen with a video
Oh
shoot
my God, I
in
know, that's so
Cornwall
exciting.
involving lobsters to do with the launch of the book. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I think that with Helen and Sarah and Squiggly Careers and Amazing If, it's so positive and energizing and actionable. There's just so much there. And what can feel overwhelming and daunting and intimidating about career change, career navigation, they make it all so
Oh,
practical and interesting and fun.
I so agree.
Yeah.
I so agree. So everyone, if you haven't listened to the episode yet, do give it a listen. It's on YouTube. Just search Better at Work. You'll find it on there. Helen Tupper and me sitting down. It's a great chat. There's a lot to take from it. It's also on still Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. So go check it out. And this is the bit where Annette still, because a few people, Annette, were worried that you weren't going to do your takeaways. I did get some people said, oh, if you're changing it, are we still going to have Annette? Are we still going to have the takeaways? Absolutely. We've got the takeaways. Here she is.
Love
Annette,
a takeaway.
You love a takeaway. What were, from that lovely chat that I sat down with Helen in that beautiful studio and I look so good in, what were your takeaways from the chat?
Cathal, my first takeaway is how aligned you and I both are with Helen and Sarah on one of the big truths that we know, at least a truth for us, and that the whole concept of work-life balance might suggest that we can and should separate work from life. And now thinking that maybe this doesn't serve us well because so much of our life is work. And we know, you and I know and really believe that when work is better, life is better, and better for everyone, for us, but also everyone we're close to, so that how much work matters and being happy at work matters. And it was just a really good reminder for me, Cathal, and how the Squiggly Careers Toolkit can really help you with that. I think then the second one is the 5 core skills. So helpful, simple, actionable list. And we've reversed it. We're switched, starting with values, strengths, confidence, community, and possibility. I love their definition of confidence is the difference between knowing and doing. And how I love how that links, Cathal, with, if you want to go a bit deeper on confidence, as well as what's there with Helen and Sarah and Squiggly Careers. In our episode 21, we had a mind shift episode with Professor Ian Robinson around confidence. So how to be confident. Highly recommend. And just so good to have. You can find out more about those. Highly recommend find out more about those 5 core skills from Squiggly Careers and Amazing If. And I've started the Squiggly Challenge. They have a Squiggly Challenge. So there's so much material through that. You can see why organizations like, I think, Visa, Microsoft, British Airways, Google, BBC have all been working with Helen and Sarah. So I also
I
love,
think that's an important point in it, because I think the skills, I love their whole concept of squiggle and stay.
yes,
So, this kind
that.
of that, and that's why they go into, because I initially was like, why do all these companies bring them in?
Yeah.
But of course it makes sense, because it's like squiggly and stay. You can stay here and do those different roles that are aligned to your values, your strengths, etc.
And then, Cathal, my third takeaway, I had so many, but this is my third one from the long list, is Helen and Sarah's thinking on networks and networking, that it's not just a process. It's not like an outbound calling program and numbers. Networking is relationships, not connections. Networking is people helping people. And if we can shift to look at networking through that lens with the intention and the purpose of wanting to help others and help people sincerely, then we trigger that law of reciprocity, which is where givers get more back. And it's not just about people wanting to help you. It's that if you help people, your whole body likes this. You get a dopamine hit. And this is ingrained in me, Cathal, from the parable of the Good Samaritan and from Brownies, where my motto was helping mothers in our homes. And Cathal, this is you. This is you. You help. You are help. You're a helper.
I can't help it because I get those dopamine hits from it as well, Annette. Hey, listen, I love those takeaways. I really do. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Particularly, I love that whole thing you said about work-life balance. The whole concept of work-life balance, that, we have that separate work from life.
Yeah.
I agree that doesn't really serve us well. I loved it. Annette, great takeaways as always. And so there you go, listeners. She's not gone. She's still here. She's doing her takeaways. And guess what? In this particular part of the show now, we will answer your questions like we've always done as well. So things are pretty much the same up to this point, Annette. We'll still ask the listeners to send us in their questions. And, please send them through to us. We're dying to answer some of them. But we thought for this episode, we'd let you guys learn a little bit more about us. And we're going to do in every episode this kind of quick fire questions between Annette and I. And it could be that it's a one-word answer. It could be, a quick answer. It might be a story that we might share, just so you can learn a little bit more about us. Right, Annette?
Yeah, I love these. It was fun getting this list of questions ready. So, Cathal, my first one for you, the question I want to ask you about is, could you share with our listeners a little bit about your first job and what did you learn? I love your first job stories.
Well, my first job was in a petrol station in Dungarvan. It was Esso petrol station out the All Road, just to be specific. And I actually loved that job. It was brilliant. It used to be in there in the mornings. You'd have to take the coal out. You'd have to get the place all set up. And it was brilliant. And I worked with a lovely couple who actually owned the shop, Liam O'Connor. And Liam O'Connor and his lovely wife. And I learned so much in that job, Annette, because they were really focused on customer service. They were really focused on attention to detail. And honestly, Annette, I think that job, being there and kind of seeing the questions you'd get, like people would always, some customers come in, like we used to have these tokens back in the day that, in Ireland, you'd collect these tokens and if you collected 50 of them, you could get a toaster, or, if you collected 100 of them, you might get, a fridge. I can't remember the exact ones. But anyway, people would come into me in it and they'd be like, if they bought 20 euros of petrol, they might get 2 tokens. I think it was 1 token per 10 euros spent. And then they'd be like trying to sweet talk you, going, geez, throw me in a few more old tokens there, will you? Jeez, I'm saving up for the toaster. And I'd be... And I'd be like, oh, geez, I can't, no, because Liam counts those tokens. It has to link up with the petrol. I have to get to the end of the day and however much petrol it's tokens. They're all numbered, But it was funny in it because you would get these kind of things happen. And it was great experience for me. You'd come in and there'd be challenges every day. Something would go wrong. We had one time where people would come in, they'd be trying to steal stuff. And you'd see them in the pram coming in. There'd be these women coming in and they'd have the pram and like you wouldn't hear any child crying, but they'd have the pram and then suddenly 3 gallons of oil were plonked into the pram. I'd be like, is that child drinking oil or milk? And I'd have to press the button and Liam would be in his office and there was a little button under the table. Liam would come flying out and I'd just point. I'd go down there, quick. But... honestly, I got so much from that job, so much, because they were great. They ran a great business. They kind of knew some customers would chance their arm, but they also knew some customers were just very loyal, brilliant customers, and you would give them a few extra tokens, or you would,
Yeah.
And it was a really good way for me, very young. I think I started there at 12. I must have been 12. I was still in school. So I was really young starting there. And, you could be asked, sometimes you'd have to go out, the car wash would be broken down and like the priest to be in getting his car washed and be like, go out there now quick because the priest is stuck in the car wash. It was like a comedy. But I learned a lot. Best job ever. I learned about people. I learned about customers. And when I went into my job, even in Goldman Sachs, and I really was able to understand different customers' requests. It was just different, right? They were asking for
People
something. Yeah,
asking
it
for
was still
help or
people.
needing help.
Like they were asking for something else. They weren't asking for the tokens, but they were
Yeah.
asking for something else. It was the same. It was the same to me in a way. So I think that was the best job. It was really great for me, and I always encourage younger people to get those jobs. They're fantastic. You go into a big company, you're gonna. A lot of it is working with other people. It's working with customers. Why wouldn't you have a little job when you're young?
Yeah, I see that with Finn. My son, as you know, Cathal, just done 3 years at KFC, and that's how he saved up for his trip overseas at
Yeah.
$18 an hour. And he's matured in a different way from dealing with people, helping people, dealing with problems.
I'm so with you. I
Lots to
think
learn at KFC.
you learn a lot from being out dealing with the public like that. But it was a great job for me, and I still love it. So if Esso still have the tokens, I'm happy to take
Yeah.
some. Send me, because I need a new toaster for this new house. Now, Annette, in this quick fire one, I've got a question for you. This one came up a few places recently, but what's a word that you are overusing at work?
At the moment, Cathal, it is alignment. Aligns, aligned, alignment. I wish that my computer would give me an electric shock or slap me every time I type it or say it. I'm so sick of myself aligning.
Oh my God
I better sort
almighty.
that out. Yeah, align.
Align.
Yeah.
Align. Are we
It's
aligned on
aligned,
this new approach to the
unaligned,
podcast?
realign.
Are we aligned? Yeah, we're aligned, yeah.
I'm aligned with Helen and Sarah, definitely.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely aligned with Helen and Sarah. Definitely. Okay, so we're going to tell our listeners, look out for that. Maybe we'll ask our listeners to send in some words that they're overusing. I mean, Jesus, every corporation has them. Don't they? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
every big organization has them.
And then you
people
hear a new one
copy
and you go,
them.
oh, I like that. I'm going to pick that one up.
Yeah, I think sometimes people use them to, here's my thought. I think people use them sometimes to sound intelligent. Other times I think people use them to feel like part of the clique or the group,
Yeah.
because organizations
new
have
word,
their own,
yeah.
that's the new word. Oh, or the CEO is always using that word. We better use that now. Put that in everywhere. Okay, yeah, there's a
And
little
now
send us any examples. Go ahead, Annette.
Oh, yeah. So, Cathal, this is our last question. The question that we thought about is, what did you first think of me when we met at work, and why do you think we became friends?
How long have we got now for this, Annette? Look, when I first met you, it was interesting because and just for our listeners, Annette and I worked at a big bank in Australia, and I was working on a few different programs of transformation at the time. And I was in this meeting, and they had asked me to look at a particular problem. It was like customer communications, and because we had millions of customers, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I don't know much about customer communications, but I'm sure we'll discover it. Then it was said to me, well, we've got this lady, Annette. She is an expert on customer communication. She can come in. She's a product specialist. I was like, oh. They were going on about you so much, Annette. I was like, I don't like the sound of this. This one sounds this one is going to annoy me.
She's got too much.
She's too fancy. She's a product expert. She's a customer. She's a marketing. I was like, God, how many jobs has this woman had?
She must be pretty old.
She must be good. No. Anyway, so I was a bit like, oh. And I remember telling people, going, oh, God, who's this Annette one now coming in? Oh, Jesus, Lord. Is she going to take over? Is she going to be annoying? Is she going to be blah, 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 blah? And of course, then when I met you, I was like, oh, my God, this lady is just so lovely. I think your energy the minute I met you was very, it wasn't like, I might have had my shoulders up, and then the minute I met you, I was like, oh, okay, she's fine. She's not. We've all had that, I'm sure, when we meet, we're told about someone and you build stuff up in your own head, and then actually you meet the person, you're like, okay, this is
You're pleasantly
crazy.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was so pleasantly surprised. I think I remember taking you to see where the pens and paper and everything was kept. Did I do that
Yeah,
with
you did. Yeah, we did it. Yeah, we became friends doing a tour of the floor
We
and
were fast
through this.
friends
Yeah.
looking for
By the
pens
time
and
we got the
stationery.
stationery cupboard, we were like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And by the time we went to the kitchen to get a tea
Yeah.
and coffee, I mean, we were like putting the world to right.
Yeah.
And look, I think, why did we become friends? I think we became friends because there were some challenging projects we had to work on together. And oftentimes it's in those challenging moments when you're around people every
Yeah.
day. And Annette, you and I used to work quite late into the evenings, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
would be trying to pull stuff together. We were trying to get funding for things. And I think we became friends first through a shared belief in what we were doing and that
Yes,
we
yeah.
needed to fix it. A shared kind of passion to fix it. And I think as well, you know, you had Irish.
We had Irish nanas.
You had an Irish grandmother, I had an Irish grandmother. And then in the nights when we'd be there, it'd be 8 o'clock and we'd have our 5-page deck done and we'd be like, look at this, Annette, this is so beautiful. And then we'd start talking about something funny with our grandparents or something. Or I would
The dogs.
the dogs. Or we would talk about how my grandparents used to give ice cream sausages and they could get to the Jack Russell dog. I don't know how that dog survived as long as he did, but and that's probably for a lot of our listeners the same, right? They become friends with people. But I think we became, you are such an amazing person. You've got such lovely values. And I think what people wouldn't realize is you're also quite cheeky at the back of it as well. There is a cheeky side to you, which I enjoy, and you see the humor and things. And because I'm a bit silly as well, and you laughed at my jokes, I probably was like, okay, what was I worried about? Product expert marketing? Who cares? She laughing at my jokes here.
Could you bring out Hank again?
Oh my God. Okay. I don't know if I should say
No.
this Hank,
we had
one night,
characters.
and we'll finish with this.
Yeah.
We'll finish with this. We had characters because I said to Annette when I used to work at Goldman Sachs, Hank Paulson, this is many years ago, he was the CEO. He went on to the Treasury Department in the US, and Hank had such an American accent, very slow, and I don't know how we got to it one night, Annette, but I think I was pretending to be Hank. And when a problem would happen in the company, you'd get a voice note the next morning. You remember we all had those phones in our desk, come in, the red light would be flashing. And mine was never flashing for anything important. It was usually just Hank had left a message for the whole company overnight. And Hank would be there. Good morning, everybody. This is Hank Paulson. I'm come on here to give you to let you know this company is the most impressive company on Wall Street. And honestly, stupid things like this. And then Annette and I would just do my Hank impression for any situation. We'd be walking down. I'd be like going, Annette, this is Hank. The sandwich shop is closed early today. You're going to have to get your sandwich somewhere else. Annette, Phoebe is on here. And just for our listeners.
It made everything, all of our work, it just lightened us.
Lightened it all.
Yeah, and just brought in fresh energy for getting our work finished. And
correct.
Yeah,
Phoebe is on
getting
here.
home before the car park's closed.
Well, Phoebe is on here. She's probably going, okay, guys, you've gone too far with
track.
this. You've gone too far with this. But you know what, right? We're just being ourselves, right? And that's what we want to do in these new kind of episodes, is reveal a bit more about ourselves. And look, Hank, anyone called Hank, this is not an insult. Any of our American listeners, I know that is not a very good impression, but do go and look up Hank Paulson. I think I get it pretty good. The other thing I loved about just what Helen said today in it is that sometimes it's not about the promotions, it's about the different opportunities you get. Who would have thought that me dreading you coming in and going, oh God, who's she? This is going to clip my wings, this is going to blah. And actually, to Helen's point, you can learn different things. It's not about promotion sometimes. I actually learned a lot from you. I learned the different skills you had. I learned how you approached a product issue or how your background. I learned a lot on. The way you thought about putting together presentations, etc., was different to me, but I think the combined was better. If I had done it on my own versus what you did. And I think that's the point that Helen's making. Sometimes it's about the experience or the opportunity. You and I pulled together to work on something. We were both the same level in a way, right?
Yeah.
Both kind of at that senior level. And me thinking, oh, I don't want this. I want to
Yeah.
be the more senior one, actually gave me enormous amount, because for the first time in a long time, I was learning from a peer, because often your peers are working on different silos, like they're responsible for something, and suddenly you and I working together, we were a partnership, and I was learning from a peer. That was
and I
my
think
thought.
and I think because we got on so well, Cathal, it was really positive. We energized each other.
Yeah,
We made our work fun, and we got a
yeah,
lot done. And it's that energy and that insight that we know about how important it is to have friends at work, how it helps with stress absorption,
yeah.
how it helps with a sense of belonging and your purpose and happiness. And so I think that all came to play. And I think, and then linked to that about about Helen's observation about, it's not the ladder.
Mm,
One of my sort of really life-changing was sideways when I decided to take a job in Vietnam. I was very lucky enough to get it. It was a sideways move for me, but it meant that I had 3 amazing years, and I met a whole lot of people and made so many friends that I wouldn't have made if I'd say, no, I want to stay here and go up this ladder. It's like, no, I want to go have an adventure. It was, and
I'm so
yeah,
glad you shared that one, because
yeah,
you always talk about
I know.
Vietnam and how that experience was amazing for you. And if you think about it, Annette, us doing this podcast has come from us leaning into doing something different. Like, I could have easily said, I don't want to work with this Annette woman. And they, that could have been a possibility. I could have said, no, I don't want to work. I would rather do it myself. And,
Yeah.
I'll bring some more junior people in. And we wouldn't have gotten to meet each other.
Yeah.
And then we've had this sideways move of doing this podcast as well. Sure, the podcast gives us so much.
So
what the
much,
hell?
Cathal. I'm a different person. Everything I've learned
I'm a
and
different person.
tried in, sing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I hope, hopefully our listeners enjoyed learning a little bit more and about us. In each episode, we are going to continue to answer your questions. We'll give you a little bit more about us. Give us some feedback. What do you think? Do you like that? What would you like to know more of? What would you like us to change? We're all for the feedback here. Listen, a big thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our first episode in our new season, season 4. Annette, what do you want them to do for you?
So, hey, if you've got a career dilemma you'd like us to help you tackle in the future in a listener's question episode, head on over to betteratwork.net and send us a note. And don't forget, Better at Work is now on YouTube, and you can watch full video conversations on our channel, or keep listening wherever you get your podcasts.
Check you out, Annette. You're getting real... You are sounding really... I think she wants a job as a newsreader next now, She's going to be coming snapping at someone else's job. You want to do the weather? Okay. Listen, next week as well, everyone, we've got an incredible guest. Organizational psychologist, best-selling author, Tasha Eurich. Now, we all loved Tasha the last time she was on. Tasha is absolutely brilliant. And guess what, Annette? She's coming to London in a few months, and I can't wait. I'm meeting up with her. But she's our guest next week on the show. You loved her last time, didn't you?
I did. I'm a big Tasha fan. Really looking forward to that conversation.
So check it out. You can actually get a little preview of the episode. If you go and watch the YouTube channel, you can get a preview of what she's going to be talking about with me next week on the show. So that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I'm Cathal Quinlan.
And I'm Annette Sloan.
And this has been Better at Work.